make sure. So there's not one of those that's that's got all the perfect things we want. So I don't know. Can I preset one? Like this one says net weight, and then I don't.
Yeah, you need to tell us what columns you want on the receiving grid, and we can change it.
Yeah. Okay. So that's what I'm saying. So just the report that I sent you has, weight and PO number, I guess, instead of lot serial number.
Well, PO number is something we don't necessarily mess with in the system because it's tracked in a number of different spots. Let me try to explain this, okay? The way this works, if we look at that screen again, there's a reference field here, okay? So if you were set up purchase orders in advance, let me just bring up something with a purchase order in it. Purchase orders actually feed the receiving grid. So if I go into this purchase order, and I go into the line items, and I want to receive it, what it does is it brings it over and populates the grid, and it puts the PO number in the reference field. And there are tons of reports and features in the system that, when dealing with POs, is looking for this reference number. So let's try to get exactly what you need here. If I go back to the email, you want unit weight. You want the total shipment weight on the receiving grid as well?
Yeah, again, these can all be just text fields. They don't necessarily have to be trackable. It's just, as you see on that report, I mean, when the doc guy is going to bring up the information to the data entry person, there's going to be a total shipment weight, which is most likely the only weight they're going to have, is that they're going to pull that off of the paperwork. And then a lot of times we end up just having to have them divide the number of units by the total weight so we can get the per unit weight, which we obviously need for the shipping aspect of it to calculate weights on the outbound.
Okay, but they're calculating the individual unit weight, right? And they're putting that into the receiving grid based upon what's on the paper. So do you need to record the total shipment weight, or they're just using it to make the do the calculation themselves?
It's a way for us to know. Again,
would it be on each individual line item though?
No, I just need it if you look at my receiving report, there's a bunch of just generic information at the top.
Well, I got to find your receiving report. Did you send me a copy or just Ben?
Yeah, I sent it. There's two things I sent you. Those two PDFs.
Let me see. Okay. So we have a receiving report. I see it. Okay, it's this guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is what it looks like after it's entered, nice and neat. But basically, it might have even connected the written one that comes in with the bill of lading, so you can see how all the paperwork flows. This is what we fill out. That's why also, the actual date received is an important thing for us to know. The PO number. And then there you see how they've got the total weight, and then they do the individual weights. Some of those individual weights, I gave you one with a lot of item numbers on it just so you can see. In this case, they probably had either weighed all that stuff or they had the information, but we need to make sure that they match. Because again, all our billing is done by weight, so it's it's a very important calculation for us.
So you don't. Let me ask this question: do you plan at all on using our purchase order system? Because this purchase order number can go in that reference field. That's a
Yeah,
free
no,
ticket.
like I said, we're not that sophisticated. We're
Okay.
not going to do any advanced ASNs or anything like that. We're not going to receive against a purchase order. You know, we could, we're given all the information up front, but it just seems too difficult to try to get our warehouse to do the warehouses to do that. If it was just one warehouse I was controlling all the time, we probably would. But since it's always a new warehouse or, new people every time we start a project, to get them to receive against the PO and the way this freight comes in sometimes so, uh, you know, a lot of the paperwork just doesn't have all the right information. I think it would just take up more time than it would save.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, I'm just trying to map these fields to these receiving grids. So the purchase order number can certainly go in the reference field. That's not an issue. You have the item ID, you have the description, you have the number of units. We need the weight. If we put in the weight, the gross weight, we could calculate this, individual weight on the fly. Condition, we do have a field that we can use for condition that we've done for another customer. And we have I'm not going to bother showing it to you. We have the tables in place in the database. It would just be populating the tables with your conditions. You'd want them, is that something you want to track in a table, or is that something you want free text as well?
If it's a drop down, that's fine. It's not like that's what the notes are for. You can just write damage, and then in the notes they'll write 7 boxes crushed or whatever,
right.
Wet. I mean, it's not that intricate either.
Do you have a set number of conditions?
Yeah, I would think that we only have a few options. Damaged, wet, or short. Those types of things.
Yeah. Okay. So then that certainly we have tables in place to support that, so we can use the condition table for that. Notes are more or less just plain old remarks.
Correct.
So we can certainly change the heading to say notes. Received by, we do capture. So this is the total weight for the shipment, right?
Yeah, it's the total shipment weight, and then you can see on this one that it's not as easy as just dividing it by 3, because I don't know how you don't know how each one of these things is going to be contributed to that total weight. Sometimes they're just going to do that because they don't know, and we're just going to, in the end, it all works out. That's why we want to make sure that the total weight matches these individual weights, because sometimes they're weighing them individually and sometimes they're just doing the division.
Okay.
It'll be very difficult sometimes to justify if we have light bulbs and they divided it evenly between all these things, and you've got light bulbs and you've got chairs or whatever. They're going to be like, well, how are your light bulbs 100 pounds each?
Well, I mean, the weight would be calculated based upon the item ID, right? And what was put in for the weight.
Right, but if there are certain times where they don't know, they do know the weight, and certain times they don't, and they just divide it by the number of units per each thing. So you may have 4 different items on there, and they're all going to have the same weight because they don't know what the individual weight is, and they just want to make sure it matches up to the total weight of the shipment. And yeah, in the end, when it ships out, it'll all equal out financially. But some of our clients are like, when they go back and audit their bills, if somebody just did a division and you've got lamps, lampshades, and light bulbs as 3 different line items, and they divided them all equally, sometimes they balk on that. So we have to be able to, individually add these weights properly. And I think why I'm saying that is I think you said, you can set up the formula to just multiply or divide the quantity by the total weight and get your weight there. But that means every item is given the equal distribution of weight, and that's not necessarily always the case. Does that make sense?
Kind of. I guess I just don't know what to do with this. Do you need to store the entire shipment weight along with the individual weights that they're entering. Do you want us to stop the receiving process and flag it as an error if they don't match up? Am I calculating, weighing up this column and saying, does it equal this column?
If you could, that'd be great. If not, we're not doing that now, so it's not critical. The easier way to do that would just be have a calculation total, at the bottom of that, just like an Excel sheet, at the bottom of the individual weights, have it total, and we can manually see if it matches.
Well, let me print this out so I can make notes on it. Because this will be a fair amount of customization of that receiving grid if we have to put logic behind this stuff.
Yeah, I don't want you to do that. I don't think it needs to be that way. I mean, I'm guessing you can just total the weight of all the individuals, because that would be just like if you did cost. I would think that you were doing that.
Print.
And if not, okay. I don't want you to do any customization for. I think that this should be.
Well, let me ask this, do you want to be able to print this receiving report after in place of the stolen?
Yes, like I said, this report.
That's a customization.
Oh, it is?
It's a customization because we have to change the way the stow list is shown. But we can do that, and then, this information can be calculated, the number of pieces received and the total weight based upon these two columns. It's not a big customization, but it is a customization.
So so that goes to some of the other questions in my list. How do you create a receiving report?
How do we do it?
Yeah.
Everybody's different. It's like, let me wait for this thing to print out. I don't know why it's taking so long. If I bring up Arctic, we have a customer here. Okay, and I think if I go into inventory, receiving history, they have a worksheet and a checklist, okay? So this is what we had to customize for them based upon their business requirements. So, we gave them, it basically gets populated at the time of receiving, they can print it out. Some people don't do anything other than the audit trail. Everything in our system gets recorded when it's received, when it's issued, when it's moved. And we keep reports on those transactions in inventory, and we call it the audit trail report. So it gives them that information that they're looking for. What it was received, if there was a serial lot number on it, how many units, who received it, where it got, put in the inventory. So everybody's different. We don't have, it's not one size fits all. And so when we get into customizations, it's usually around labels. It's usually around reports. And this is an example of customizing your receiving report so it looks the way you expect it to look, which is the one that, I'm trying to print out now, which is, what did I do with that?
I think that, and the other part of that report is that it goes back to our whole thing about the RR number and that traveling with the pick ticket, so that if there's a question, somebody can go back and say, because it happens almost every day, so I get a call from a client saying, did you receive this shipment? And we go, well, yeah, it came in on this RR number, a receiving report. Here's that receiving for that day. And it's attached, that report's attached to the bill of ladings and the packing list to verify that it came in. Um, and then they can verify that it came in the way they ordered it from their vendor.
Right. That's a delivery ticket.
So that's actually like also that's the pick ticket that's generated for the warehouse that we use as the delivery ticket. So this will also go to some of my questions I sent yesterday.
That's the pick ticket. That's the receiving report.
And we send these reports as they come in to our clients so they know what they got. And then they verify that everything is what they ordered. Because you would be, I guess you might not be surprised, but I get calls every day, where's this freight? And we're like, we already delivered it to you. And they don't even know they have it at the hotel.
Uh-huh.
And so then we have to go back and show them, here's where we received it, and here's where we delivered it. And we give them those two reports.
Yep, I got you. I mean, I'm just trying to make sure I understand the customizations that are going to have to be applied here. And it certainly looks like the receiving ticket and the pick ticket are two of them.
That report that you showed me looked pretty nice.
Which one? The one that I brought up on the other site?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it has different. It doesn't have all your stuff in it. That's the problem. I mean, it's. Let me go back. It is a nice report. Thank you for that. I spent a lot of time on it. But again, this is their. They have temperatures that they're recording, billions of pallets, additional charges, all of that.
Can you break it? Can you make it a little bigger?
Sure. I think I can, yeah.
Okay, now I can see it. Yeah. So they've got company, carrier, load number, customer PO. That's date received, receiver. So that stuff at the top there is pretty much exactly what we want. Item ID.
They don't have weights, so they're, or, the number of the totals. So,
Right.
I mean, I think using the one that you sent as the template is fine. I mean, we can produce that receiving report just the way you sent it to us.
Okay.
That's not a stretch. None of this is a stretch. It's just understanding that what we have to capture at the time of receiving to do this and how it changes our receiving process. So, again, we have all of this information. We have the item ID, the quantity, the weight we can put in. We can calculate pieces received and total weight for the receiving report based upon these two columns. The purchase order can go in the reference. We need an RR number, okay? Because normally, unless we put, the RR number can be automatically generated. Normally, when we receive goods into our system, that reference number that I showed you where we put the PO number, if there's nothing put in that field, then a number will be automatically generated. So I think all we really need to do is...
Yeah, isn't that where you said you could change the prefix from ADJ to RR?
Yeah. And then we just need to have a placeholder for the PO number, which we can provide. I'm just trying to keep it simple as possible. If we can automatically generate an RR number for you, that's what we'll do. So the RR number is going to be the adjustment number with the prefix changed. That print finally came out. Okay, then we're going to have quantity and weights and condition. We have to add conditions. That needs to be added to the grid. Warehouse and project. The warehouse is automatically receiving of the warehouse. The project, did you talk to Ben about how you're going to do that? I mean, are projects going to be locations within your warehouse?
So he said something about, if we need multiple projects per warehouse, then we would do virtual warehouses within the warehouse.
Yeah, basically they're just locations. Like if you think of a standard warehouse where they have shelvings, and bins, those would be locations in the warehouse. So you can move stock to them, and you can receive stock into them, and you can issue stock out of them. So
I just need it to be so that when the client logs in, so here's the hierarchy, right? I have a client, I have a warehouse, and then we have a project. The project is the hotel generally, it's the, Hilton Tucson. The warehouse may be Burgess Moving and Storage, and the client is CCI Hospitality.
Yeah.
Like you said, the warehouse is typically not as important as a thing because everybody, it's only one warehouse filling it in. They know who they are, and we all know who they are. The project is important because that determines, in the case that there's more than one project in a warehouse, which it's happened. We're doing it right now. It's not often, but we do have one warehouse in San Diego that has 2 different hotels, so 2 different projects and 2 different clients. So I just need to make sure that, CCI Hospitality logs in and they only see, Hilton Tucson versus Caliber who logs in and sees, Hotel Paseo.
Yeah, I mean, that's, we showed you that yesterday. That's all done on the user profile screen where you set up customer logins and you attach them to warehouses so they can only see stock in those warehouses.
Right.
So again, I'm trying to get, the sample you sent me has Bergeron Facts as the warehouse and projects. Spring Hill Street, is that what it says?
Spring Hill Suites. That's the project. And here's a great example. That particular client is doing a dual hotel project. So there's a Spring Hill Suites and a Town Hill Place. Okay. Right? Those are 2 separate hotels in the same project, same warehouse. And so we receive everything separately, right? We receive freight in for Spring Hill, and we receive freight in for Town Place, and they all have their own RR numbers. So one will be, we usually give them the prefix, so it'll be SH1 is the first one for Spring Hill, and TP1 is for Town Place, and same with the orders, so we can track everything. It's basically 2 different jobs all under one customer and warehouse. So that's why we want to delineate, because I need to know when freight comes in, is it going to Spring Hill's freight or is it going to Town Place's freight?
Right. So when you receive it in, you have to receive it into either one of those warehouses, and that's how you know.
Right. Well, in this case, that's what I'm saying. The terminology I would use is it's the same warehouse. I'm just receiving it into the different project.
Yeah, but you're talking about physical warehouses versus virtual ones. If you want to segregate the Spring Hill projects from each other, they would be in 2 different warehouses. You could still allow the customer and the client to see both of them. So they could get to both of them, but when you receive the stock in, it needs to go someplace. So it would go to one or the other.
Sure. And I'm not, I don't necessarily care if we have to learn a new sort of, verbal culture.
This is always a stumbling block in the beginning, is trying to get on the same page with respect to terminology, how it breaks down in our system. But basically, what we're saying the same thing with different words. Basically, you're going to have the project is going to be treated as a virtual warehouse in the system. So everything you receive into that stays with that project, and that's what you want, right?
Correct.
So, if you have a Spring Hill Suites and another one, but you have one customer that needs access to both of them, that's not a problem. That's certainly doable without any customization. All we have to do is set up the user profiles correctly. Okay. So they can see these additional projects. And we can also change the verbiage on the screen so it says project and not warehouse. That's not a biggie.
Okay.
I don't know why this. It's taking so long to print out. It's crazy. It's still printing. Let's go back to the list. Okay, so yeah, I think I know what we're getting at here and what the changes I need to make to the receiving grid in order to do it. And then, we'll have to give you a customer receiving report. When I hit save, does that mean I can come back to it and continue? Yes. I notice that I can hit receive and then still go back to it and edit. If I hit receive again, does it double receive the items? Yes. Yeah, it does. If you go back to that grid and hit receive again, it'll bring it back in. I noticed that when I select an item to receive, it doesn't load the description, just the item number. It should show the description once you save it. The stow list. This is a good question. Do you want the receiving report to replace the stow list? Again, I think that's what we did with the Arctic customer. We gave them the ability to print. We gave them the ability to print the worksheet right out of the receiving grid. And they also have the ability to print it after by going to receiving history.
Yeah, so that's what I'm asking Simon's questions. If I want to, what I'm used to doing now is I can go into a customer and say, look, pull up all the receiving reports as a list, or I can type in, I want to find RR number 1. If I want to go specifically to that one, or the way my system works now, it's just easier for me to just hit one button, it brings them all up, and then I can go look. But I'd like to be able to go back to those reports, to these, find these forms.
Yeah. We have, we'll keep track of them. We're doing that again. That's what we're doing for our Arctic right now. Arctic. If I go into receiving history, this is the reference number, which will be the R number. So we can break them out like this, and you'll be able to filter on, who the customer was, date it was received, who supplied it, all those values that we capture at the time of receiving will be here and available for filtering.
So when you say sort it by who the customer was, does that mean that you're mingling receiving reports from different projects?
We're not mingling them. These can be filtered too. I mean, if we change the definition, so if a customer logs in, and their warehouse is associated with their ID, they're only going to see theirs.
Okay, that's what I want to make sure.
Yeah, but you as an administrator on the system can come in here and see everybody's.
Okay, yeah, that's what I want to make sure though. The customers, when they log in, they only see theirs.
They only see theirs, but it's got to be set up that way. Again, they have to. When we put this together. Oh, where am I? System System users. These warehouses, we can give them primary warehouse, and then we can give them extra warehouses. And, for that sample customer that you described that needs to span 2 different projects, we would just give him access to extra warehouses. Now, when he goes into that inventory list, he'll see only those projects that he's assigned to. So, I mean, it's a warehouse filter. It's in place. That's nothing special. So that kind of answers all of those questions.
Can we go to the questions I had on that save / double receiving, just so and also the show me when you bring up the items that it doesn't show the description, so you can see what I'm talking about and make sure I'm seeing it correctly, or if I'm not.
Okay, what do you want to do here?
So I'm trying to remember what my password is. The name and password was. I know it was.
Do I have this right? I'm trying to log in. Sorry, I've been working on so much stuff these days that I get my wires crossed, you know. That's Selman, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so if I go into receive stock, you choose your project. Choose the project location. Okay, so the receiving grid is saved. This is going to be modified so it precedes with an RR number. Let me change that right now before I forget. And options. Adjustment style. So I'll save that.
Can you put it individually by project? So if it were in this case, it would be RR, and then it would be RM for Riverside Marriott 001, or does that?
We'd have to customize it to do that.
All right, I don't think that's that big a deal.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back into the receiving stock, okay, which is going to see Marriott Riverside is saved. So when we got off that page, so basically what I'm going to do is make sure that mask is in place. So we'll do another one. Save it.
Now, when you're doing location, is that something we can skip?
Would have to do, no, location, when we create, again, the system, it doesn't fit everyone perfectly like a glove. So, but let me try to explain it this way. Okay, each warehouse, you know, is an entity where stock is received into, but within that entity, you need a location to put it in our system. Now we can default it, you know, to whatever you want it to be. So whenever you receive stock, it automatically gets put in that location. Again, there's a default location on the parts table. So all we'd have to do is populate this, and when warehouses are created, automatically create the initial location within the project. Because you're not going to move stock within a project, right? It's all just going to be on the project.
Correct.
So, I mean, we could change it so when you create a new project in the system, it automatically adds a location with the same project name.
Okay, yeah, because I'm just trying to minimize steps. Make as little data entry or things that they have to remember to do was always the key for me. And since we're not using a real put away system, because every warehouse is different, if it can just default to doc, that's great.
Yeah, we'll have to make a quick change to put a trigger on the table so whenever you create a warehouse, it automatically creates a location called doc underneath it. It doesn't do that inherently, you know. These are locations that people provide us with, you know, to either update or they manually update them. But we can change it so it automatically just puts a location in there. And as long as the parts have default location set up for doc, then it'll automatically be received into that location.
Okay, great.
Okay, so that's no biggie. It should be recording this. Keep forgetting to turn that damn thing on. Okay, so again, we're there. If we go into inventory, okay, so that's the receiving reference. That's been changed. If I receive it,
well,
and I go back, no, it cleared it out.
So I was talking about if you do it and save it.
We'll do it again. I mean, saving it just is, you know, if you want to step away for lunch or anything.
Right.
Come back
that's what I assume, and which is a great feature because currently I don't have that ability. But
Right.
my question was, where do I go to find it again? You know, this is RR number 2. If I saved it and I leave, and let's say I log, one of my other questions is, there a dashboard? Like, is there like a home screen that I go to and then I come back to and say, all right, I want to pull up our order number 2 and continue? How do I do that?
You just go into the receiving grid and select the project you're working on. It's going to remember you, because what we store in the tables are your user ID and the adjustment number and everything else. So it'll, you know, if I were to log out now, let's say log out, and I go back into inventory, I say, well, I got to finish working on this project, and I go to receive stock, it doesn't have anything because it's all warehouses, but if I go Marriott Riverside, it brings it back.
Okay.
I mean, nothing's been received yet. This is pending. Okay, so there's nothing, that our number has been committed to this, but nothing's been committed to inventory under it. It's just in a pending state.
So if before I go, what does stow list mean in your vernacular?
Stow list is just, again, this works against this. What we're going to do is change stow list to print out your worksheet. But this is basically is for someone in the warehouse to say, okay, oh, there's an error here for some reason. Well, that's not going to work with that error there. But the stow list, what happens is, you know, it's basically a put away sheet that tells the guy in the warehouse what he's receiving and where to put it in the warehouse.
Okay.
But that's you don't need that.
Really. Right.
You just want to be able to, what?
It's basically what we're looking for. It's just, you know, right. It's a receiving sheet. Now, again, I don't know how each warehouse does it, but at some point, yeah, maybe somebody takes that report and they go put it away. So, you know, I feel like it's the same thing with just different terminology.
Well, it is. It's your worksheet, right? You'd hand them the worksheet and they'd put the stuff away, correct?
Yeah.
So, I mean, what I'm suggesting is we're not going to call it stow list. We're going to call it receiving report or whatever you want to call it. And when they click on that, it's going to print out that receiving report that you sent us.
Perfect.
So they'll have it in front of them with all those, you know, with all those fields on it, you know, quantity each, weight, condition, all of that stuff. There is a field there for warehouse location. What are you putting that? I'm looking at a warehouse receiving report, and there's a column right after condition that says warehouse location.
That is for them internally. If they want to put down where, you know, the guy in the dock, if he's put it somewhere, and I've never seen it filled in, but where are you looking?
I'm looking at a sheet that's sitting right in front of me here. Let's bring it up on Christ. Receiving report. I got two different receiving reports here. I got a handwritten one.
Yeah, the handwritten one is.
Yeah. So I'm just going to assume you don't need it.
No, we don't. The handwritten one is the one that the guys have on the dock,
Okay.
and they may use that when they receiving it. They may put it somewhere for them to know where they put it. I don't really care where they put it.
No.
And neither does my system at this point. So I haven't really, I mean, technically, I guess there should be a place for that here too, but to me, that's just extra work for the data entry person. So I try to eliminate.
All you need is this one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Then, you know, sometimes too much information is not a good thing.
Yeah, I don't want to, that's why I try to make the data entry as simple as possible because, you know, this is the work I'm asking them to do, so that I don't have to do it.
Okay. Okay. So Where were we? We were
So we were on
the receiving
the
grid.
receiving report. So when you hit save, you can bring it back up and now just continue going.
Yep.
When you hit receive, see, here's what I'm asking. Like the description didn't come up there.
It doesn't when you. It does when you save it. It does when you save it.
Is there a way to populate it when they select it, or no?
We'll have to change the code to do that.
All right, I don't know that it really matters. I just feel like when you're visibly seeing it, you want to make sure that you've selected the right one.
Well, I mean, if you use the ellipsis, you're going to see it here. You know. I mean, you know, we may incorporate that in a future release, and you'll get it automatically. But right now, it doesn't do it.
Okay. It's just in case. I'd like to think people are checking their work, but if they happen to, that's a grid that they put their cursor over the wrong one, but they can still verify the item ID number, I guess. So we hit receive, and I just want to follow the process. You hit receive.
Yep.
And it brings it to this page, which is what?
This is the receiving grid after everything's been received. So from here, you can print labels. Well, or we could redirect it to go to the worksheet.
Yeah, yeah, that would be perfect if it said print receiving report as opposed to print labels.
Well, I think what we'll do is we'll just put the button back here. So if you notice the Stolus button went away. Okay, but if we keep it here, worksheet, I think that's what we did with Arctic. We just left it there. Let me try them. Let me receive one. So you'll see their grid is altogether different. I mean, they have pallet numbers and lot numbers and.
Well, that's an interesting thing. Sometimes we receive pallets and we have to give them a number.
They have a receiving date, so.
There you go. See, that's perfect. That's receive date versus enter date, right? I mean,
Yep. So I'm going to make a note. I think we'll start. I don't know. Do you want? I mean, I can start with pulling their grid records out for you and giving you a grid like this, where we have the receive date and all of that stuff.
Right there says worksheet, not stow sheet.
Right. And their worksheet prints their worksheet. So, if we use this format, and then we modify the columns, because you're going to need weight. You're going to need weight in there. So we can use this as a starting point. It has almost everything you want.
It does. And, even so what if you could, when you go to, after you hit receive, instead of that, is it possible to have that center thing instead of say print label, print worksheet?
Well, let's see what we did here. I think we give them labels. I'm not sure. Receive. Yeah, we can change it. So print labels. You're just going to print the worksheet. Print labels. Yeah, we can do that. So again, for receiving reports, I showed you, you have that receipt history report that will be filtered by projects, so your customers will only see what they have. Okay, type in item and hit save, but it didn't add it to the item master list. Well, let's try that.
Yeah, I hit. So I'm on the inventory, and I hit create new item. And by the way, I'm very impressed and happy with the way that everything looks. Is really crisp and clean. I really like it. So I just went item ID and I created like, a dash test so that it would come up to the top. And then in description, I put, test item and hit save, and it did not show up.
There's something wrong with your setup here. Because it threw an error.
I didn't get an error, it just didn't show up.
Well, you might have got an error and you didn't see it, because if you're, it shows up down here on the bottom. So if you're not trained to look for it, you might have just.
Yeah, I'm used to them just popping up.
Yeah. So let me check that. Can't add a part.
Oh, you're right. There is an error button at the bottom. Yeah, I did notice it.
That's probably what it was, but need to set up created by. What do you mean by that?
Where are you?
Add inventory.
Oh, on your thing, it says created by. In other words, I'm assuming that means who added the item or who created the item.
Right.
So I guess you just, I know some of these things are all part of system setup and may have just jumped ahead and saying something, but I'm just in my mind going through what needs to be done. So I'm assuming you have to add, how do you set up who?
Oh, it just picks it from your login.
Oh, I got you.
Yep.
So I'm just trying to figure out your methodology. So certain things it says required. So then when I set up an item, the things that are required are down there. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in here. Can we clean it out so that the things we don't need don't show up, or is it?
Yeah, all we have to do is customize it. Again, we'll work with you to do this. Basically, like here, manufacturing model. If I wanted to hide these fields, they weren't necessarily. I just take them off.
Okay. And are we able to maybe, instead of, like, this is part of my notes, instead of having it called units, cost, pricing, that's just three of the things, I guess, that are in that section that you have to click on to enter? For us, we're entering really weight, pack type, and whatever unit of measure, I guess. I'm not using any of this pricing stuff or cost.
Okay, so what are you calling it? Weight.
What did I put in my email?
Yeah, unit weight, unit and pack type. I got it. So unit, copy. Hang on. So if I go into that same screen set again, we can just do this. Unit, weight, pack type. Save it. And then, where are we? Unit weight, item. I'm gonna hide these. I'm gonna put in a cost. Do you want the cost?
No.
Okay.
I need unit of measure, net weight, units per pack. I mean,
Roll
pack
out,
type is the
gross
same.
weight, units per pack, and then all the other stuff can go.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's great. So then unit of measure, you just do a drop down, unit gross weight, unit net
Yeah,
weight.
wherever you see a blue link, it'll take you to the list. You can see what we have in for units and measures, and it works the same way. You just do an add new if you wanted to add a new one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Sure. And
Oh, that
okay,
just answered question 4.
yeah. Um,
Why are there 687 records?
yeah.
Well, we probably didn't clean up the table. Let
So
me
you know,
take.
if I went to ask master item list and I just hit history on the unit, well, some of them have no history. I'm not. Yeah, this.
Well, this would. I mean, this basically shows when we received them in. You know, basically it's the history. Again, you know, whenever you do anything in the system, it gets put in the audit trail, and that's what that history link shows you.
Right. So the ones you selected are seem to do right. I just happen go to B5, the first one, which is
This
the one I
guy?
checked.
Yeah, that's kind of. Did Ben plug these in for you? He must have, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was assuming, yeah, there'd only be one scenario. It was received in once.
Hey, you would have thought so, wouldn't you? But it looks like it got caught in a loop. It did get received in 687 times.
Now that I'm looking at it, it's really just the only one that has that. So okay.
I don't know what happened there. That utility is, I don't like that utility. Gives people all sorts of problems. But anywho, it shouldn't be that way. It should be more like this, where you have the one receipt. Unless alternate parts. No. I'm thinking it would have done that if it thought it was a serialized part. It would have busted it up, but I don't think it did that. I'll have to look at that. Shouldn't have done that. I mean, this is just testing data anyway, so I wouldn't worry about it.
I just happened to click on that one, and so I was like, I don't understand why there's 687. But so the other questions I had, I guess, on orders. So you go to quick order. And is there a way to have this default to, I'm not sure what's the difference, but available items, because that's really what the screen I want them to go to instead of simple.
Yeah, cart, all available items.
Can it default to that when they go to the screen so they don't have to remember to select it?
Yeah.
Supposed to default to simple.
Let me make a note. Okay.
And so here also, this is the question I had, the other one about when it shows up. So if I select, if I start selecting, I select a warehouse. Okay, Riverside, Mary Riverside.
We need a customer in here. That's one of your other questions too. So, you know, if we set up a customer, oh, we'll call it, I don't know what we'll call it.
Well, so that's the thing. The warehouses says Riverside Marriott, but that's actually the ship to. Right? It's the project. It was also the ship to. So,
well, you have to set up a ship to record for it then.
Okay.
Okay, so if it's Marriott, we'll just say M Marriott -1. Not spelling it right, am I? 2 R's?
2 R's, yeah.
1 T?
2 T's.
2 T's, 2 R's, okay. And then a contact, you know, would be good, but we'll just say Ben Walker. So those are the only 2 required fields, and then you'd have the, you know, the actual physical address here.
Yeah, the address is good because that'll show up on the pick ticket, right?
Right. So if we go back into shipping or quick orders, I hope I couldn't remember if there was an error there or not. It shouldn't be. Quick order. What happened? There's something. I think there's something drastically wrong in this build. Yeah, I'm getting another error whenever I try to add something. We gotta get a working build up here for you. I'm gonna have to test that. I can't add parts, can't add customers. So it's hard to demo. It's hard to demo the quick order screen with that not working.
Well, let me try to do see if the things that I did and see if we can. If you're on the available, go to the other screen with the select a couple.
Go back to what?
You just select a couple items.
Okay.
So then you hit save.
Sure.
And then so you've saved it. So that again, you can go away and come back.
Yep.
You logged out and came back. How do you find this order? And where's the order number for this order? Like just like a receiving order, this has to have a sequential.
You won't get one until you place the order.
Well, how do you go back to it then?
Huh?
How do you go back to it?
Well, it's gonna again filter by your ID. So if I log out and I log back in here, I hit quick order.
I mean, what if they started 2 orders at the same time and didn't finish it?
They can't start 2 orders at the same time.
Okay.
As soon as I go back in, they're gonna get it. I mean, here it is right here. So.
All right. So then conversely, once it's so I'm on the review order screen. I don't see you. You don't have that. You have place order. I see review order. How do you review the order?
Well, you would click on the button if it was there, but it's not there. Like I said, there's something not quite right with this build. We got to get the bugs worked out of that. And there is an upgrade, and I'm hoping that when I apply that upgrade, that will fix it. But you should, I mean, you're correct. There should be a review order button here, and there isn't. So let me see if it works in the iPool. Go in here, quick order. Okay, this will give you, hopefully give you a better idea. Available items, 1, 2, save, review order. Okay, so that's what should be happening. But
that's the review order?
That's a review order, yeah.
Okay, great. And then
you just place the order, and then you get your order number. Okay, so what happens is in the background, behind the scenes, the warehouse guys are going to have an order that's pending. So if we go into inventory, this should just print packing slip, but it brings it over here. Okay, that's the order header. And here are the line items, what's been ordered. Okay, and this is where they would pick the stock. And then satisfy the order by issuing it out.
Okay, well, now I didn't realize that. So they have to go back into the system and say they picked it, or can they just ship it?
They can, what I did was I just shipped the order.
Right, but you had to select each item again.
No, I didn't.
You didn't?
No, I just shows that, you know, you got to tell where to look. Let's do it again, all right? So if I go here, do another quick order. 1, 2, save it. Review it. Okay, and then I'm going to place it. Okay, so the customer's done now. He's put his order in, right? Now it's up to you guys to issue the stock out against it. So you go to the orders. This is the one we just created. Okay, I can start issue. Valid line 2. What I was doing was choosing stock. And what that does is it brings it into the issue grid where you finish the order.
Right, so that's what I'm talking about. So right now, currently, again, not sophisticated warehouses. So we print the pick ticket. I've got a guy in the warehouse who goes and picks it and loads the truck. Now, but for this, they would just go back into the system and select the order and just hit a ship button, which is basically your issue button. But here you're saying I have to go to each item and say that I selected it and then ship it?
No, you can go start issue and then do a load all, which will automatically pull the inventory against it and then just finish the issue with ship.
Oh, okay, great. There you go. There's my time saver. Okay,
but
and then
you start at the order level. For some reason, it got hung up in that grid. I don't know why, but it did. So all I did was pick a location so I could get past that to this point.
But once the order is placed, that stock is no longer available to reorder, right? It's on hold.
Once this order is placed, the stock is out of the system.
Even before you finish it, right?
No. Right now it's there. It's committed. You would see it as committed in the system. See these fields right here?
Mm-hmm.
And it shows you what order they're committed to.
So that means when the guy goes to place another order, they can't order the same stock because it's committed.
Well, in this case, you know, there are 8 units. Depending, you know, you don't serialize your product, right?
Correct, but you've got.
So I mean, if there's 100 units, 15 are committed, and he pulls 50 more, you know, you're going to have zero. You're going to have 0 available for shipping out.
Well, right here it says available 3, in stock 7, 4 committed. So I am ordering. I can only order what's available is what I'm trying to get at. I don't want to be able to negative order. We don't do back orders.
Again, if you go into that order screen, what is this, IP B60? Shows what's available.
Right, exactly. So, but are they able to order? What happens if he selects 4?
Well, let's find out. We just created the order.
Yeah, and I somehow I needed to not allow them to select more than they. It
I
should say.
understand. Yeah, it should prevent that.
What just happened? I lost you.
I'm here. I'm just making a note.
Oh,
That's a bug. That's a bug. What happens when I hit add? What is this for? Well, when you hit add where? Quick order?
Well, this is all on the quick order screen.
I don't see an ad.
Right, when it's in the. So once I think I've saved the order.
Yeah.
Right, and then you get to that preview screen.
Review, you mean?
No, when you click on the actual order itself, it brought you to. So let's see. How do I get to this?
You mean here, the lines?
No, I went to on the preview screen and it said print confirmation for order number SO, blah blah, and I clicked the blue thing. You had the screen up before, so when you
place it.
Yeah. Let's see if that brings you to it. Yeah. So here, when you click on the blue, first of all, it says by clicking on the icon to the right. I don't know what icon to the right are you referring to?
The one that's not there. There should be an icon to the right that allows you to print a PDF copy of the order, and it's not there. I don't know where it went. Print, quick order. Print icon missing. So this just takes you to the order header. And you wouldn't get there if you didn't have permissions to create a modified shipment.
When you get there, there is an add button there. It says save, add, complete, cancel, backlist. So what are these? Here's when I hit preview here, that brings up the packing list. So that's what we have to talk about.
That's what you should get on the quick order screen. Okay, this is and because you have permissions, I have permissions to this part of the system. When I click on that link, I'm just going to the order header. So if I wanted to add another order, I could add it here. But your customer is not going to have this.
Okay.
They're not going to be able to do this. All they're going to be able to do is add a quick order. And
then the warehouse. So the preview brings up, so that brings me to the preview brings up a packing list. Again, we don't need packing lists. We just need a pick ticket. And I don't care if it's the same thing. But I'm curious is when you bring up the packing list, it already has ordered and shipped is filled in.
It has ordered. Doesn't have anything shipped against it.
Right. So how is that a packing list? Doesn't a packing list usually get generated after you've picked it or shipped it, I'm
Not
guessing?
our system. You can print it at any time. I mean, after you ship it, you can print it, and it'll show the number that was shipped against the order.
So just curious, where would, in the process of warehousing, I'm just going through logic, instead of previewing and bringing up a packing list, wouldn't it be logical to bring up the pick ticket since it's already, that's the stage we're at?
Well,
You've created
pick tickets here. You know, I mean, this is just the way the system is set up. You can print a packing list, you can print an invoice, and you can print a pick list.
Sure. But on this one screen, the preview defaults to the packing list. I would.
Well, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, yeah, you're right. It defaults to the packing list. That's the way it's always been in our system for years now. Are you asking me to change it so you can print a pick ticket from that link?
I guess. I mean, I feel like I'm just going through the process in my head that the next step would be to print a pick ticket before I have a packing list.
Yeah, I know, but you can print the pick ticket from here too. You know, I wouldn't want, you know, I'm trying to discourage you from changing too much because when you change it, you know, we have to customize code to do that. And
no, I agree. I'm just going based on my, so you're showing me that screen. I didn't get to that screen. I got to the other screen where it says print confirmation for the order.
Right.
And so I'm just going in the order of which screens I'm getting to. I don't even know how I get to that screen that you're showing.
Well, it's simple. You just go to orders and you go shipping orders. And what it does, it brings up your list and you can see completed orders, canceled orders, packed orders, quotes. You know, again, you know, it basically is a list view. And then from there, it's similar to jumping from the quick order screen where you would go, okay, well, let me see the header on this one. You know, what are my line items? You know, want to open a preview? You know, it has a preview. So, I mean, there's different ways from different screens to get to the same point.
Okay. And again, I don't want to be, I'm just going through the process that's put in front of me here. I create an order, I review the order.
Yeah, but you're not going to be creating orders in the quick order screen. Your customers are, and they're never going to get to that screen. You know, so again, you know, probably your view is going to be coming in here and saying, okay, what do I got outstanding? Where are my outstanding orders? Oh, here they are. This shows you everything that's pending, you know, where you would say, okay, well, we got to pick this order. Here's my pick list. I mean, I'm not telling you how to do your job or what order to do it in. I'm just saying it's available there. You know, I mean, everything's there. And again, you know, if you're coming from the quick order screen, you're a customer and you're not going to see this anyways. We might give them access to this screen, but they're never going to be able to do anything but print maybe a packing slip or something like that. But
where does, so help me out then. So the process is the customer places the order, and you know, Ben says that there's an email that goes out that can also have the order attached to it. So that's what I'm just trying to see what the warehouse is going to get for them to know what to pick, etc.
Well, they're going to have this list that's going to tell them what's outstanding. If we have to send them an email, we'll send them an email, you know, that says you have this order to pick.
Right. That's obviously that. Yeah, that definitely needs to be done, because otherwise they're not going to know. And since we have a 48-hour advance notice for them for requirement from the customer, then you know it wouldn't be fair to the customer for them to place an order and then no one know that it's there until this warehouse person decides to go look. But yeah, Ben said that's not a problem. You guys send notifications and you can send the order with it. I'm just curious as to what actually is sent.
It's just a notice, like, I think in most systems, it's just, most of the systems, notifications are sent out to the customer. If you need it sent to the warehouse staff, I guess we could send it with a link to the pick list. You tell us.
Yeah, that's perfect. Does it, so does the pick list now have an order number?
Right there.
Okay, great. And that's sequentially created, right?
Yep.
Okay. Any idea if the notification sends out with the order number or just the generic you have a new order?
That's an order number would go out with it.
Okay. Well, that's great. I mean, this is the only requirement here now that I need to verify is that pick ticket / delivery ticket has the weights on it.
Well, you sent me a pick ticket delivery ticket, right? I'm assuming that's you're going to want to replace this pick ticket with that pick ticket, correct?
Exactly.
I mean, most of the other stuff are just things we need to fix, like that Q order screen is not working the way it needs to. I don't know why. So we have a delivery ticket here. Yeah, we'll have to create this pick ticket and replace ours with it.
And the only thing I think on there that might issue you something is the vendor travels with it.
The what?
The vendor. The RR number, if there's more than one, Ben said could be displayed multiples if it was received on multiples. I had a warehouse call me last week, said that they pick their stuff based on the receiving it came in on, right? So on one item came in twice, once with 8 units, once with 10 units, and the client ordered 11 units, and the report here only showed one RR number, and that's the one that had the original had 8. So the stupid warehouse only shipped 8 because they didn't know there was another RR associated with it, and they didn't know where to look for it. So they're asking me to make sure if there's multiple RRs for that same item that they be listed so they know where else to go get it, because the freight's not always put together based on when it comes in. These aren't little items, they're furniture, so it might be buried behind other stuff.
That's no problem. You just want us to show every lot it was touched on.
Correct. Every lot that was received on, and the vendor. I also, I ran my own warehouse. I don't understand, but it seems like a lot of these guys, the vendor is how they help find it. So we make sure they know who the vendor is.
Well, the vendor is going to be stored on the receiving side. So, I mean, it'll be stored in the record along with the RR number. So in inventory, when it goes into inventory, both those values are going to be captured.
Great. And then are you able to total the weight like it does here?
Yeah, we can do that. I mean, we have to create this pick ticket for you.
So that reminds me of that one question I had on the order sheet. It said delivered by, and you were able to pick a date.
Oh, deliver by, yeah.
Is there a way to change that to deliver on? Or just deliver date? I feel like deliver by gives them a window of delivery time as opposed to a specific delivery time. That makes sense?
Yeah. I just have to make a note. Okay, what's next?
I guess just some of these generic questions. I don't know what we probably covered a lot of them.
I gotta be honest with you, I'm starving here. I haven't had much.
Go for it. Yeah, that's okay. I haven't eaten yet today either.
Okay, so let me, I mean, I'm gonna have to quote the custom sheets. And a lot of the stuff that you brought up isn't gonna fall on you to fix, it's gonna fall on us to fix because it's not working the way it's designed to work. So I gotta get together with our other developer and find out what happened, why it's not working. But, so let me work that up. Give me a day or two so we can get your site where we can actually add customers and do the quick order the way you want to see it, you know, with the default for available items, stuff like that. And then we'll reconvene. Is that all right?
Perfect. Yeah,
Okay.
I just got a new account, new project yesterday that's going to start up pretty soon. So, I want to put this and 2 other projects in here so that I don't have to worry about having them in the other system that I don't want, once the project starts, it's 6 months. I don't want to spend 6 more months in that other project system.
Yeah.
All right, great. Go enjoy lunch and look forward to hearing back.
You too.
All right, thanks a lot.
Yeah, bye now.